Sometimes you get scared without a clear reason. Nothing bad just happened. No warning, no news, no obvious danger. And still, your body acts like something is wrong. If you've ever felt your heart speed up while you're doing something normal, or your stomach drop while you're just standing in your own home, you are not alone. This can show up anywhere. In the kitchen, reaching for a glass of water. On public transport, looking out the window. At your desk, in the middle of a normal task. At night, when you finally stop moving and your mind gets louder. Nothing looks different from the outside, but inside it's like a switch flips. You suddenly notice your breathing. You notice your heartbeat. You notice a tightness in your chest or a pressure in your throat or that uneasy feeling in your stomach that makes you want to move. And then your brain tries to help, fast. Did I forget something? Did I do something wrong? Is there a message I missed? Did I upset someone? Is something coming? You scan your day like a detective, trying to find the reason that would make this make sense. And sometimes there is no reason you can name. That's the part that can feel terrifying, because you're taught that fear should have a cause. But this kind of fear doesn't always show up like a thought. It shows up like a signal, like your body is saying, pay attention, something's not safe. Even if the room is quiet, even if the day is ordinary, even if nothing is happening. When it hits, it can feel like your body gets there first, and your mind arrives late. You might feel a sudden heat in your face, a tight chest or shallow breath, fidgeting hands, that hollow feeling in your stomach, a weird dizziness or unreal feeling, like you're not fully present. The urge to check, recheck, rethink, and you don't always tell anyone. Because how do you explain it without sounding dramatic? So you keep your voice steady. You keep typing normally. You keep doing what you're doing. You say, I'm fine. But inside you're bracing. Sometimes you start doing little things to feel safer. You keep your phone close. You sit near the exit. You avoid being too far from home. You make plans with escape routes. Not because you want attention, because you want control. Because the worst part of this feeling isn't only the fear, it's the uncertainty. It's not knowing when it will stop or why it started or whether it's going to get bigger. And when you can't find an answer, your mind often fills the space anyway. Maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe I'm failing at normal life. Maybe I can't handle what other people handle. And once you've had this feeling enough times, you might start to expect it, even on good days, especially on quiet days. Because sometimes peace doesn't feel like peace. Sometimes calm feels like the moment right before something goes wrong, like your body is waiting for the other shoe to drop. Over time, this can start to feel personal. Not just, my body is scared, but what does this say about me? And usually it says something harsh. It says, you're weak, you're too sensitive, you're a burden. You're not built for life. If people really knew, they'd look at you differently. That's why you hide it. You don't just hide the feeling, you hide what you think it means. You become an expert at looking okay. You learn to smile while your chest is tight. You learn to reply fast while your mind is spinning. You learn to show up while your body is quietly begging you to leave. And a lot of people carry a special kind of fear inside the fear of being seen shaking, seen panicking, seen needing a minute, seen not being easy. So you keep it together. And that works until you're alone. Then you feel the cost. Because your body doesn't forget the alarm just because you acted normal through it. It stays. And it can make you question yourself. Why am I like this? Why can't I just relax? Why can't I be normal? And I want to say something clearly here. This doesn't make you a bad version of a person. It makes you a person who has been on alert for a long time. And when you've been on alert for a long time, your system can learn to react quickly, even when you wish it wouldn't. There's something quietly relieving to know. You're not imagining this. Researchers who study stress and threat responses often describe how the body can move into alert mode without a clear external danger, especially when you've lived through long periods of uncertainty, pressure, or emotional load. Not a diagnosis, not a label, just a human pattern. Sometimes your body learns, be ready, faster than your mind learns, we're okay. And once it learns it, it doesn't always ask permission before it sounds the alarm. When you live with this kind of alarm system, it can change how you move through life. Not dramatically, but quietly. You start choosing what feels manageable, not what you truly want. You stop committing too far ahead. You keep plans flexible. You avoid certain places, certain conversations, certain situations. From the outside, it can look like they're busy, they're private, they don't like crowds, they're just not that social. But inside, it can feel like you're negotiating with yourself. Not once a day, all day, every day. You're managing your face, managing your voice, managing your energy, managing the urge to run, managing the fear of the fear. And that's exhausting. Because even when you're resting, you're not always resting. Sometimes you're resting while monitoring yourself. And another quiet cost is this. You don't always ask for what you need because you don't want to be difficult. You don't want to be a burden. You don't want to make your invisible alarm someone else's problem. So you carry it privately. And then you feel lonely, and the loneliness can make the alarm louder. It becomes a loop. This is where I want to take a small turn. Not toward a solution, not toward a fix, just toward a different relationship with what's happening. Because when your body thinks something is wrong, you often try to force certainty. You try to find the correct reason so you can make the feeling stop. But sometimes there isn't a clear reason. Sometimes the most honest sentence is simply, my body is scared right now, not I am in danger, not something is definitely wrong. Just, my body is scared. That sentence doesn't solve everything, but it can soften the second layer, the layer that hurts the most. Because a lot of people aren't only dealing with fear, they're dealing with self-attack. They're dealing with the shame of having fear at all. And it's one thing to feel an alarm. It's another thing to punish yourself for having an alarm. So the small shift isn't make it disappear. A small shift can be this. Maybe you don't have to turn on yourself while it's happening. You don't have to like this feeling. You don't have to romanticize it. You don't have to call it a gift. But you can stop treating yourself like a problem for being human. Because if your body is sounding the alarm, it's not trying to ruin your life. It's trying to protect it. Sometimes it protects too much. Sometimes it protects at the wrong time. Sometimes it interrupts things that matter. But it learned something somewhere about being ready. And if that's your reality, it doesn't make you broken. It means you've been caring more than people could see. If you've been feeling fear without a clear reason, If you've been doing normal life with an invisible alarm running in the background, you are not alone. So many people are living with this quietly. Some hide it with productivity. Some hide it with jokes. Some hide it by disappearing, but it's there. And if today is one of those days where nothing is happening, and still everything inside you feels urgent, we want to leave you with something calm and true. This feeling is real. You're not dramatic for having it. You're not weak for carrying it. You're human, and you're allowed to come back to yourself, slowly, honestly, and without pretending. Reclaim yourself.